Welcome to Toronto.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Just slip it in at the end of every sentence.
That's Canadian.
Yeah.
The whole process happened really early. I just signed with my publisher, and maybe a month later we got the call saying that they wanted to turn it into a movie. So the book wasn't out yet, but we passed it along on the low key, as they say.
Did you guys get early copies, and what did you think when you first read it?
I did not get it.
We were not so privileged.
I got a synopsis.
Really late in the game.
I read about it online.
I was actually working on a TV show. I was reading the book as I was working. I got 30 pages in. I knew this was a story that I wanted to tell. So immediately, let's get me on the phone with Angie. So we got on the phone, just talked. This is how I saw the movie. This is how I think it's important. These are the characters. We were right in sync right from the beginning, and that got to Fox 2000 and that relationship, and they bought the book. Little did I know at the same time, Amandla was reading the book at the same time I was, so that was happening kind of simultaneously.
I felt like I had never seen in a piece of content something that was so nuanced and contemporary in terms of its representation of Black girls and Black women and Black family. Because oftentimes I think we are simplified into these tropes. And what Angie did so beautifully is she gave us the entire world of this family with so much authenticity and freshness. And I really connected to Star because she lives the experience of code switching, which is something that I grew up doing and probably everyone does in some way, shape, or form, especially if you are a Black American. We learned the skill of entering spaces in which we haven't been historically accepted and changing the way that we speak or talk or relate to other people in order to succeed in that space. And Star does that between her neighborhood where she grew up, where she's arguably her more authentic self, but then also the white private school that she attends, where she's learned the language of whiteness and privilege in order to succeed in that space.
It was incredible. It was extremely relatable to me, but also just timely in a very sad way. And it was my first thought is like, oh man, this is always going to be timely until it's not.
For me, my experience reading it also and like seeing this character through like a young girl's eyes and this whole story come to life, like you said, it was very timely and it was just very like, it was almost like so crazy because you felt like you were reading it as it was happening in the world, which is so insane. And the fact that we got to make this film makes it really special.
I was very impressed by it. I feel like in this day and age, you don't really get to see coming of age stories where people find their voice and live true to who they actually are. And I think, you know, with this story, being a young lady or a young man, it's so heartfelt and warm because it's not just about her, it's about her family. It's about her community. You know, her voice affects everyone, you know, and that's something you don't usually get to see.
There's a stereotype of women, of Black women especially, as extremely strong and independent, but what we did want to show and create was we wanted to keep the strength, keep the independence, but also show that we had a head of household and that there could be roles where no one is less, no one is more, but there are roles that are defined in that family and accepted and agreed to, and our children grew up with that.
And I think the important thing was the fact that we did have rehearsal, and he did have us do improv, he did have us go out on dates, and to get to know each other and to, you know, find that connectivity and find that energy. And that, you know, just to have that spiritual connection as a family, to understand who we are as individuals, but also who we are as characters and how do we relate to one another.
I've been on set before, it's where I've had to like die in movies and everything like that, but this one was very different. The climate of it just felt different. I remember that day specifically in my trailer, I got to set pretty early and they didn't have me working. I think he did it on purpose, just to have me sitting in my trailer, but I was there and I was just, I started listening to Tupac and I was just like filling myself up with what I was about to get ready to go and do. So by the time we got in the car and we were shooting that scene, it didn't feel forced, everything felt pretty natural, and it just felt like I was just being a vessel to represent for anybody who's ever been in that type of situation. So
we don't get to see a lot of Black families in media, you know, and I wanted to have that, and I felt like, you know, and a lot, it's nothing against young adult books, but a lot of times in young adult books, I love them, but we make the parents disappear. And I get why, because for plot wise, you can't go save the world and your mama hitting you up like, where you at? It's past your curfew, you know? But this girl is going through so much in this story. I felt like she needed that. She needed to have those light moments.
I think we all felt the weight while we were making it and understanding its cultural relevancy and timeliness. And so there was an added feeling of needing to be as dedicated to it as possible and making sure that we were approaching every facet of it with as much authenticity as we could and feel represented and feel like they can have a space to claim their humanity.
I feel like with this movie, everybody came to this movie with a generous heart. Like nobody got rich off this movie. Yeah, what up, though? But, what up, though? Mama buying dinner. But nobody came to this movie like on some big check type stuff. You read the script and you believed in what it had to say, what these characters had to say, and presenting a real life character in that situation to make it palatable and relatable to each audience member. I hope dudes from the hood go see this and be like, man, I get that.